We had a record heat wave in Seattle this last week, and so we didn't play any Warhammer. But today I thought I'd kind of have you guys along while I paint something. It might be fun. I have here a fun little project that I did recently. Kit bashed a Prognosticar for my Grey Knights. I want to start by saying there are no rules for a Prognosticar. It's just a thing that exists in the lore. It is an old Grey Knight who has become too wizened, too aged to continue fighting alongside his brothers in battle. So he stays back on Titan and he divines the future and gives his brothers like a heads up. Lets them know what's going on, reads the tides of the warp, and tells them essentially where to go, who to fight, and how to best kill demons. They're like the guy in the chair for Grey Knights. So the dude who sits behind all the computers, except instead of computers, he uses his brain. They kind of are represented in rules solely by one stratagem called Heed the Prognosticars. Pay 2 command points at the beginning of the battle round, and a character gets a +1 to their invuln save, because he's listening to the divinations of the Prognosticars. But yeah, put this guy together with the body of the Blade Guard Ancient from the Indomitus set. Replaced his little hand thing he was holding with a demon skull. I think I'm going to gild that to make it some sort of chapter relic. Gave him a Nemesis warding stave instead of the Skelly banner he had before. And gave him Voldus's head because it looks wizened and old. Also, I put a servo skull on there. First coat of Lead Belcher on him. Jerky Violet applied. Not Jerky Violet, what the hell is this? Drakenhof Nightshade. Drakenhof Nightshade applied. Now to let this dry. Went over with Lead Belcher again, just on the surfaces, leaving the recesses all shaded. A really light dry brushing with the Grey Knight Steel, just to get a little bit of highlight. Also, I broke his servo skull, and I need to reattach that. Also, I looked all over the internet, and there's a surprising lack of art for a Grey Knight's Prognosticar, which I guess makes sense considering it's not a unit, so why would people make them? Gonna take a quick break and go on a walk. Cool piece of trivia about the Prognosticars. Their tower, the Imperium, which is the highest tower on all of Titan, is it's 16,000 steps to get up to the top of it, and no one is allowed to take a lift. I think there's like a teleportarium chamber in case of emergency, but if you want to go speak to the Prognosticars in person, you've got to climb all the way up there, which isn't a problem for Grey Knights, I'm sure. The Prognosticars basically act as like trackers for the Grey Knights, almost. They basically tell, thanks for the pee, buddy. They basically can sense warp rifts and demonic incursions before they happen. So then they tell all the Grandmasters and brother captains who are organizing their forces where to find demons. And whenever the Grey Knights blow up like a civilian shuttle full of people who don't seem to be demons, it's because the Prognosticars told them demons were going to appear on there shortly. And as the Grey Knights say, if I have to claim 1 million lives in order to save 1 billion, so be it. Hey bud, look, it's right here. Alright, let's go. What color to do his robes? My immediate thought is red, but I feel like all of my characters have red robes. I like red. I just feel like I do it too often on here, especially if I'm going to have a little bit of red and white on his shield and crunch there, and on his shoulder probably. Maybe blue, or would that look too much like a librarian? Xandri dust to make him look old and wizened. First layer. Agrax Earthshade. Alright, now that that's all dry, we're going to do another layer of Xandri dust. Second layer of Xandri dust. I might go back with the Agrax again, because I don't think I thinned down my Xandri dust enough. Also, I broke the servo skull again, so I'm going to leave him off for a minute. Carrick Stone and Ushabti Bone to highlight the robe. And I think it's looking pretty good. We're going to move on to, let's do dark reds. Alright, not a ton of red on this dude, just enough. A little bit of white to contrast the red. Some brown for the few leathers that he's got across his body. While I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna get a little bit of Black Templar into his joints and stuff there, just so. Little nice trick I got. It's an easy step to really make the undersuit under the power armor really contrast everything else. Contrast. Now to do our accent metals. I always make sure I've got a couple of different so that everything kind of. You don't want all of the various little trinkets and pieces of machinery to look the same. So I've got Retributor armor, Balthazar Gold, and Brass Scorpion. Gonna put that over his little, like, trinkets and skulls and beads and all the accoutrements for his various weapons and stuff. Gonna throw it on everywhere in a couple of different patterns. Alright. I'm not doing the face because I hate doing faces. Well, my phone's camera is recognizing his face, so that means I must have did an okay job, right? Purity seals and a few more details across. And just looking them over, I think we're ready to wash all of the details in Egrig's Earthshade. He's really starting to come together. The next thing I'm going to do is take a pencil here. I'm going to use the edge of it to kind of scuff up some machine and leather parts on it to make it look kind of worn. So you can see how I went along the edge of his little shield there, and then on the leather there, just to give it kind of a worn little sort of. I did it on the golds a bit as well, just to give it sort of a worn, beaten kind of feeling to it. Now we take our good friend the Micron pen, and we're going to do some doodling on the purity seals and on the shield work. Wonderful. That doesn't look too great, but that's fine. Put some Talisar blue on to his staff, and I think I hate it. A couple layers of dry brushing improved it somewhat. Still not exactly what I wanted. I think I would have liked it better if I just kept it deactivated and metallic looking. But it's fine. Some astrogranite on the base. Gonna let that dry and come back to it. In the meantime, we're gonna go on another walk. We have stopped and smelled every single tree. I'm trying to think of other cool facts about prognosticars, but honestly, there's very little that we know about them. They don't have a model in the game, obviously, so I imagine that GW hasn't done a whole lot to flesh out their lore. They feature prominently in some of these stories. The Emperor's Gift, if none of you have ever read that, is a fantastic novel and very well written, which is great for a Grey Knights focus book. But yeah, there's some prognosticars in there, and we learn a little bit about them, but largely we know very little. It'd be cool if there was some sort of representation on the table so that A, this model I'm painting would actually have some use, and B, so they'd flesh that out a bit, because I think it's a fascinating aspect of the Grey Knights that we have a sort of a bespoke sorcerer who sits in a tower and divines the future and tells us what to do and where to go. It'd be cool if we had more information about that. All right, that's all dry. Time to put some loathing blue all over the base. Makes it look a little bit cold. Just a little bit. Oh, it's not coming out. That's obnoxious. All right, and I made a couple of glue islands on there. Painted the rim black, and I think he's all done. All right, let's take some glamour shots. Well, that was a lot of fun. Hope you guys had fun painting that along with me. If you're interested in the way that I paint Grey Knights, including the kind of darker armor that I do, the way I do the heraldry and everything, I've got a video. I'm gonna link it up in the corner up there. It goes over my style and just the way that I like to do it. Anyway, this is just a fun little project that will offer me no benefits in the game itself, but I had a good time doing it. Thanks so much again, guys, and as always, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. See you guys next week with another battle report.